Well, everybody, I did not expect to wake up to this news today. I really didn't. And it's actually quite good news, quite funny news. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I am not someone who is generally in favor of doxing. There are very few cases in which I think it's, like, both optically and morally good to drop and stoop down to that level. I think one of the few cases where it's okay is when somebody has a massively influential effect on national politics. A good example of this was Chaya Raichik, aka Libs of TikTok. Chaya Raichik desperately wanted to remain anonymous while also influencing entire elections with her massive Twitter account, where she would regularly post misinformation, where she would constantly celebrate the deaths of trans people and call for the deaths of trans people and violence against them. The idea of her being able to do all of these things and continue to be anonymous, not something I really vibe with, especially when she's affecting politics that much. And so when somebody like that gets doxxed, and not their address or like where they live or their like bank info or stuff that's like possible to be used against them to like invade their life in a really harmful way, just like what they look like in their name. They shouldn't be able to remain 100% anonymous and literally affect the way our country is run. That should never be allowed. No, I don't think principally anyone should agree with the idea of anonymous individuals having a massive stake in our country and how the laws are made and who gets elected. So with that said, another individual with a massive influence who has remained quite anonymous for a long time, despite honestly any of his art being recognizable by 99% of internet users at a glance. They may not know who made it, but they'll recognize the art and the art style. That individual is someone who went viral with a big trend on Twitter this morning that I woke up to. And upon clicking on that Twitter trend, I was met with this thread. Brace yourselves for some deeply unfunny and cruel cartoons, serious cringe, and regenerating foreskins. This is long overdue, and at Anon Comrades and Late Night Tafa brought in heavy hitter comrade the Claw 414, who knocked it out of the park. Strong content warning. I assume this is like a lefty, like doxing group or something. Quite cringe LARP, but you know they did a good thing here. I can't really complain. Meet 34-year-old Hans Christian Grayburner of Spring, Texas, better known as the racist and anti-Semitic comic artist StoneToss, as well as, wait for it, the racist and anti-Semitic comic artist Red Panels. I don't know if you guys remember this, but way back in the day, I mean back in like 2019 when I was streaming from Florida, I remember there was a popular conspiracy theory on Twitter that Red Panels, a long forgotten right-wing comic artist who made comics that almost look like a ripoff of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid art style. Here's an example of one of his comics. This is his retirement comic, Red Panels, and it's like, instead of doing the thumbs up at the end of Terminator 2, he does a Nazi salute as he falls into the lava, because the joke is that Red Panels is a Nazi. As it turns out, StoneToss is also Red Panels, and this is StoneToss. This is him. People have been verifying this. There's yet to be any solid claim made that this info is false. This is StoneToss / Red Panels. StoneToss was the rebrand he did in order to try and gain a successful position on the internet after Red Panels failed. God, there really is something very obnoxious about his art style, you know? Like, particularly the way the eyes are drawn. I don't know why, but the way he draws the eyes in this particular image really bothers me. Does that make sense? Do you guys get the same, like I don't know if these are supposed to be the whites of his eyes. Like, this is supposed to be like what the, I I don't know if this is supposed to be the pupil, and this is like the iris. I don't know if this is supposed to be him, like, these are just meant to be like the iris, like he just does like dots, but they have like a shine in them. But for some reason, it just gives me I don't know, it's just obnoxious looking. Like, the longer you look at this, the more obnoxious it looks. He looks like the personification of actually. Well, the face is supposed to be punchable and smug because that's like the conservative brand, is to be wrong and smug, to piss off lefties and make them triggered. But the art style itself, like the decision to do the eyes like that, just the eyes in particular, they bother me. They pierce me. Anyway. On February 2nd, 2017, the artist, Red Panels, memorialized his retirement by lowering his character into a molten vat a la the Terminator. That's actually Terminator 2, Judgment Day, I'll have you know. His outstretched hand formed a Nazi salute in the final frame as a final dog whistle, lest his overt fascist sympathies go unnoticed. I mean, the idea was to say, haha, lefties, I was a Nazi all along, but now I'm gone, and it means nothing that you can prove it now. I think that's sort of the thing, right? Like, part of the brand of these types of people is that lefties know they're Nazis. They deny it very smugly and poorly and thinly veiledly, and that triggers lefties and makes them mad, and they're like, no, you are a Nazi, and that's kind of what they get off on. So the final sort of like release of the edge, the multi-year edge of triggering lefties, is to then say, actually, I was a Nazi all along, but now I'm retiring and you don't get to like reap any of the benefits of having been right all along. You know what I mean? Like, it was like an ultimate fuck you to the people who knew he was a Nazi all along, while also a full reaffirmation to his Nazi fans. Remember, everything about conservative politics and rhetoric is about as being upsetting to the left as possible. The more you can upset and trigger and like get at those like those little pet peeves and like weak points of the left to piss them off, the better. In July of the same year, StoneToss debuted with a 3-panel cartoon showing a buffet of international food that culminates in a pile of shit bearing the various countries' flags. Should the meaning be unclear, rollover text of multicultural comic hammers the point home. I also love the idea of this comic as well, because to a Nazi, it seems really clever. Like, oh yeah, all that multiculturalism that the left loves about America, it all just becomes the same pile of shit in the end. And it's like, okay, but isn't this true of like white European people food too? I mean, most of that shit will just come out of you looking the same, honestly. Which isn't like a compliment to how the food handles in your body. It's an insult to how the food looks. So like, like, it's not even a smart comic. It's just, if you look at it on the most surface level ways, it jabs the left and minorities, and that's all StoneToss was ever meant to be, and all it ever needed to be. While Red Panels' stated reasons for retirement were mostly financial, his similarly styled successor, StoneToss, showed a greater commercial sensibility. An account with short-lived Nazi-friendly funding site Patreon is a revealing glimpse into what this bigot is all about. Yeah, for those who don't know, there's like a Patreon alternative for conservatives called Hatreon, like hate-treon, like Patreon, but instead of hate, it's hate, because like hate speech and stuff. And so, yeah, he was funded through Patreon for a long time. He might still be. Although I think he gets paid through Twitter now. So yeah, pretty fucking weird. Identifying as a thought criminal, StoneToss described himself. I love that. Identifying as a thought criminal. Whenever people do this whole identifying as a victim thing, it should be the biggest red flag ever. When part of someone's, like, bio is an indication of how they're a victim, that should be just the biggest red flag. That someone has, at the very least, a victim complex, at worst, is trying to culminate a narrative and a sort of facade that they can go off of. Ooh, I think it's good to look at the channels that StoneToss supports and recommends that are also on Patreon. Someone named Angry Foreigner, James Alsop, a neo-Nazi, Sam Hyde, a comedian, Zurius, I don't know who this is, and Richard Spencer, the coiner of the term alt-right, the leader of the alt-right. Man, what an interesting gathering of people. Trust me though, if you call Sam Hyde a Nazi on Twitter though, you will get like 500 kilogram bombed. Okay, I'm not joking. The people in the replies will drop Helldivers memes where it's like unironic, like Helldivers fascism because they don't get the joke, or they do and they don't care. Anyway, the triple parentheses is explicitly anti-Semitic, but StoneToss referenced much deeper Nazi lore by promising that a financial contribution, quote, secures the existence of the comic and a future for brave content. Ah. A tribute to a murderous Nazi leader, David Lane's 14 words. StoneToss created the ownlibtards.com donation site with graphics depicting a pharmacist doling out red pills. The URL redirects to a @Gumroad site and membership rewards, including exclusive Minecraft server access. You can even purchase a $1,000 commercial reprint license. Dog. A fucking Minecraft server, that's crazy. StoneToss' shtick of blending conservative red meat moral panic issues with Nazi dog whistles is a big business. Despite crying censorship at every turn, StoneToss has amassed a huge fan base of followers with over 431,000 on Twitter and 142,000 on Facebook and 108K on Instagram. You can see he is quite the big boy. Possibly one of the largest Nazi leaders in the modern world. And he is a guy who draws pictures. StoneToss even created a child's plushie toy, which can be purchased for a mere $49. Oh good, he's selling toys for kids, for like parents to buy their kids. In case there's any doubt of the goal of normalizing bigotry amongst children, the marketing describes the toy as a gateway and suitable for ages 3 and up. Is this not grooming? Well, not if it's their ideology. StoneToss's Nazi dog whistles aren't particularly subtle, and they certainly reach their target audience. On more than one occasion, the results have been deadly. See, we're not hurting anybody, and it's like a gay couple kissing, and then it's like some chuds posting, same, and it says, come in peace. Let's see what the deal is with that. On May 14th, 2022, 18-year-old Nazi Peyton Gendron murdered 10 people in a racist attack on a supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York. A link to the story, I covered it when it happened. The incident was live streamed on the gaming platform Twitch, and the toxically online Gendron published a nearly 700-page web diary which detailed his evolution from indistinct teenage edgelord to Nazi mass murderer. Peyton Gendron also authored a jumbled 180-page manifesto which praised Nazi mass murderers Dylan Roof, Brenton Tarrant, and Anders Breivik. The document was a pastiche of 4chan Nazi conspiracies and memes alongside more structured concepts like the Great Replacement and Great Replacement, a theory, quote-unquote, based upon the concept of white genocide wherein a white race is being slowly eradicated via a planned demographic replacement. The Great Replacement theory has crept into mainstream Republican discourse via crypto-fascists like popular talk show host Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Chaya Raichik / libs of TikTok. Peyton Gendron was a month away from his 19th birthday when he committed these murders. While legally an adult, he was still a teenager, and much of his writings reflect the limitations of that worldview. Amongst all the charts, graphs, memes, and 4chan shitpost rhetoric, and his diary and manifesto were cartoons by several of the most prominent white nationalists and neo-Nazi artists, including Ben Garrison, Hedgewick, A. Wyatt Mann, aka Nick Boogus, Gingerzilla, and StoneToss. I mean, yeah, if a Nazi is so radical that he's going to go and shoot up like a supermarket to kill as many brown people as possible, he's definitely going to be a StoneToss fan. I mean, when you're that radically far right, all of your media consumption is going to be far right content, and it's definitely going to include StoneToss. On May 6, 2023, a 33-year-old neo-Nazi, Mauricio Garcia, killed 8 people in a mass shooting at a shopping mall in Allen, Texas. Garcia, adorned with Nazi tattoos and a right-wing death squad patch, left behind a huge digital footprint with clues as to his radicalization sources. Along with 4chan and gaming nods, Nazi mass murderer Mauricio Garcia revealed himself as a fan of bigoted influencers Chaya Raichik / Libs of TikTok and Tim Pool. As user Psychovision Garcia, or as user Psychovision, that was his online persona, Garcia posted a modified version of a homophobic StoneToss cartoon on a social media account. Definitely a fan. An earlier @Anon Comrades investigation revealed how Mauricio Garcia purchased his right-wing death squad patch from Oklahoma company Anime Tobacco Firearms. Who merged Nazi ideology with My Little Pony fandom. Guys, I know this topic is about StoneToss, but can we completely diverge from StoneToss now and find out about that fucking company they just mentioned? I feel like we've gotten the gist when it comes to StoneToss. I want to learn about this shit. No fucking way. Anime, Tobacco, and Firearms. Of course they use the Nazi vaporwave aesthetic, and as much as you guys can cope about it, the Nazis have vaporwave. Just fucking drop it. They've claimed it, they have it, they own it. Vaporwave is also cringe-looking, and I hate how it looks in the first place. No interest. The camera froze on Xan staring at the camera, and now Twitch has forced me to sit through 2-minute commercial break again. Patches and stickers from the discerning armed weeb since 2018. Right-wing Death Squad patches back in stock. Dude, imagine being like a chud who sells guns, tobacco, weed, anime merch, and right-wing Death Squad and swastika patches. Like, it truly is the most just the most stereotypical combination of interests and things to create the perfect internet Nazi. Like, super into, like, hentai and lolicon, like, murderous towards minorities, likes My Little Pony for some reason, is also super into weed and guns, and it's just the most bizarre combination of things that these people are. You know what my friend Ethan said to me last night? My friend Ethan said something to me last night that really made everything click for me in regards to how the internet has really brought about, like, such a bizarre age of people being famous and popular and, like, successful despite there being awful people. And I think it's that the internet has made it more possible than ever for the worst people to all get together and agree with each other, to financially support each other, and to get around all of the previously existing social shame that existed to prevent people from doing bad things that weren't already illegal. Like, I genuinely think shaming and bullying had some level of value to human development that has disappeared with the internet. In some ways, it's been good, but in other ways, the killing off of shame has led to things like this. Before the internet, what kind of life and interaction with the average person would you expect for somebody who looks like this and talks all the time about how, like, they hate women being put in their nerd media. Look at this guy and where he is right now. And pre-internet days where, like, this guy was able to get a massive support base because of the internet of people like him. What kind of life would this guy have lived behaving that way before the internet? Let's just say, I'm pretty sure he would have been bullied out of behaving this way a long time ago. Now, to be clear, the action figures and comics and all the dope merch, that's all fine. I'm okay with all of that. But having all that shit and then also complaining about minorities ruining your comic books and your action figures, you can't combine those two things and not literally be the biggest joke ever. But people who are like that, who individually would never meet enough people that are like themselves in real life to form any form of social connection and continue behaving that way in real life, the internet has given unprecedented ability to not just find friends that are just like that, that'll support and, like, enable your bad beliefs and behavior, but to make a career off of it. And to become famous for it, to have a massive fan base of supporters for it. The internet has truly killed shame. This is my version of shameless. Like the Trainwrecks meme.